Really quick, if you haven't seen my most recent episode on Archivist of Ogma, make sure you check that one out because, yeah, I mean, just picture a chase card in your head right now for Commander players. You got it? Okay, this is it. But don't chase that episode just yet. Okay, that was bad. Anyways, make sure you stay tuned to this episode first because we've got a brand new, exciting Gates Commander. So what does this commander do? Well, let's jump into it to find out. So, Nine Fingers Keene is a 4/4 human rogue with Menace and Ward, pay 9 life, yeah, 9 life, and she costs 1 black, green, blue. So already she's a decently evasive creature that is going to be nearly impossible for opponents to justify targeting. Okay, not impossible, but it's going to be a big price to pay if someone does decide to target Nine Fingers Keene with either, again, a target removal spell or, an ability. It pretty much is hexproof at a certain point, okay? But of course, that's not where this card stops. Whenever Nine Fingers Keene deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 9 cards of your library. You may put a gate card from among them onto the battlefield. Then, if you control 9 or more gates, put the rest into your hand. Otherwise, put the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. So, I believe this is the very first commander that we've ever seen actually mention gate cards. It's actually kind of funny when I went to, research that, I typed it in a scry file, and then I got a bunch of investigate commanders, which is different. But yeah, gate cards are something that many players are really excited to build around. I mean, Mace Zen decks are definitely out there. Now, that being said, obviously there are some limitations with this commander. We'll get to those here in a little bit. But yeah, a very exciting effect, a very impactful effect to be able to look at the top 9 cards of your library. And if you've got a gate in there, you get to, ramp 1. And it also helps you get closer to 9 or more gates so that you essentially then can just draw what? I mean, draw basically 9 cards, get one of those into play if it's a gate. Yeah, that is a massive trigger. Now, keep in mind, of course, that is a combat damage trigger on a player, so you need to get Nine Fingers Keene through. But yeah, I mean, Menace is going to help with that quite a bit. And of course, there are plenty of ways to make that even more impactful and even easier to get through. I mean, if you just maybe even say have an equipment that gives Nine Fingers Keene flying, well, chances are at least one of your opponents isn't going to have 2 flyers in play, again, thanks to that Menace. And actually, there are some things out there that can actually work with Menace to essentially make it so that Nine Fingers Keene just can't be blocked, which is fantastic, and we'll get to those here in a bit, but yeah. Because this is a combat damage trigger, yes, it is dependent on you actually getting through, but there are also ways that you can use and abuse this to get this even more. And yeah, multiple triggers with this is pretty fantastic. I mean, just at a base level, cool. All right, I might be able to get 2 gates into play, if I get that trigger twice. And of course, if you already meet that requirement of having 9 or more gates, well, yeah, let's draw 18 cards essentially? Yeah, that sounds fun. Now, when it comes to brand new and exciting commanders like this one, especially ones that are very unique like this one, card prices of cards that work well with them, well, tend to go up sooner rather than later. So in the description below, I have included a link to the list of cards I'm going to be talking about in this episode. So make sure that if you are looking to build around this commander and you're excited about a brand new Gates commander, well, make sure you check out that link at some point and consider picking up some of those cards. But now with all that said, let's jump into the cards. Now, first up, and the first card that came to my mind when I saw this commander is Maze's End. Maze's End enters the battlefield, tap, it can tap for a colorless, and by paying 3 and tapping it, you return Maze's End to its owner's hand, search your library for a gate card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. If you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. So obviously, for a Gates deck, this is a fantastic alternative win condition, and one that I'm sure this commander will be using. Well, okay, there is somewhat of a stipulation there, because this is kind of an awkward Gates commander, at least at this point. And let's just talk about Gates here really quick to show why. So the first gates that we ever had were the actual guild gates themselves, and we got one for each color pairing, essentially. So you got Izzet Guild Gate, Rakdos Guild Gate, Boros, Simic, Azorius, Golgari, Orzhov, Dimir, Gruul, and Selesnya. Each essentially do the exact same thing. They are gates. They enter the battlefield, tapped, and they can tap for one of 2 colors. So of course, the original thought with Maze's End, I'm sure, is, hey, there are 10 gates. Cool, I'll make a card that can help you win by having those 10 gates. But you see, there's just a slight issue with these gates and this commander. this commander is only 3 colors, and so therefore you only get access to 3 of these guild gates. You cannot use other ones because they're not within the color identity of Sultai. Sorry for the long pause. I don't know why the name Sultai escaped me. It is late in the day. It's been quite a long day, and I am, yes, now halfway through my second cup of coffee, so hopefully that helps a little bit. Regardless, yeah, going down from 10 gates to 3 gates isn't ideal. Because, yeah, I mean, in order for this commander to actually, give us its own benefit, we need to have 9 gates for this to work. Or at least I should say to get, that secondary benefit, which is the massive one, drawing a ton of cards. But yeah, even to get, an advantage off of that first benefit, we need more gates in our deck to make sure that we're not just, whiffing every single time we hit with this commander. Now, we actually did get another gate in War of the Spark. So again, for, those 5-color gate stack out there, well, they did have, 11 gates. Whereas at this point, if we're counting, we have 4, but still, enters the battlefield, tapped. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice unless you pay 1. It can tap for 1 mana of any color. Now, even if this isn't the type of land that you would normally play in a deck, actually having to pay to make sure you don't sacrifice your land, again, if you are running a deck that revolves around gates, you will take basically every single gate that you can get, especially, with this commander, where you just lost out on 7 of them. That being said, outside of these 4 gates that we have access to from our older gates, within this set, we are starting to get some gates as well. Like Gond Gate, and a big thank you to MTG Goldfish for the translated version of this. It's a gate that pretty much says the exact opposite of what all the other gates say for their first line so far. Gates you control enter the battlefield untapped. So that is absolutely massive, and on top of that, this can tap for a colorless, and it can tap to add 1 mana of any color that a gate we control could produce. So not only does this have the potential to essentially be a tri-land for us that enters the battlefield untapped, I mean, kind of like another command tower in a way, once we get the right gates in play, but of course, on top of that, this makes it so that all of our other gates are no longer slow lands. They come to play untapped. They're basically, dual lands, like, alpha duals. Okay, they're not alpha duals. They don't have, the land types. They do have a gate type. You know what I mean. They come to play untapped and they can tap for 2 colors. Or at least I should say that's obviously the case for those older gates. The Gateway Plaza, you still have to pay 1, but you can utilize it right away then, and it can tap for any color. So yeah, I mean, this card is fantastic in any kind of a gate deck, especially this one. Moving on, well, in this Baldur's Gate set, we also got Baldur's Gate. Who knew? Anyway, so it is a gate that can tap for any color. So by paying 2, we can tap and add X mana of any one color, X the number of other gates we control. So the card that this actually reminded me most of was actually like Nykdos Shrine to Nyx, where this is basically like, okay, yeah, pay some mana into this, and then you are tapping this for what could be a really, really high amount of mana. I mean, just think, once our commander gets things really going and we, hit that requirement of having 9 or more gates in play, this essentially taps for what, like 7 mana, essentially? I mean, you pay the 2, you taps for 9, so yeah, basically 7 mana. So yeah, this card can have a massive impact, and yeah, it's a gate. So just because it says gate on it means that we're going to be running it in this deck, because we need every single land that is a gate in this deck that we can get. Now, I could be wrong, and please correct me below in the comments if I'm wrong on this, but I don't believe any other gates have been spoiled yet. That being said, I believe I have heard some rumors that there are going to be, I believe, exactly 9 gates in this set, which I guess would, work for Baldur's Gate, since I believe in the actual story of Baldur's Gate, there are exactly 9 gates. So yeah, please correct me below in the comments if I'm wrong on that, D&D fans. That being said, that would obviously also line up with this commander itself, being 9 gates. So yeah, it's kind of funny because if that isn't the case, and these are, all the gates that we are getting at this point, that's some pretty poor design for this commander because, well, if I counted correctly at this point, we've got, what, like 6 gates in total, so this commander can't even function. I mean, it can function by getting gates into play off the top of your library if you're lucky enough to hit one, but you can never get to that 9 gate requirement, I should say, from normal means. That being said, yeah, I'm sure there are more gates in this set, so we will see. Regardless, outside of gates, let's talk about cards that work very well with this commander, and the first ones that came to my mind were cards like Vorak Battlehorns, Familiar Ground, and Alpha Authority. Vorak Battlehorns is a favorite of Menace creatures. It says equipped creature has trample and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature, which is quite hilarious because Menace reads, this creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. So if Nine Fingers Keene can't be blocked by 1 creature and it can't be blocked by 2 or more creatures, well then she just can't be blocked. So of course, Familiar Ground can help us out as well, essentially an enchantment that does this exact same thing. Each creature you control can't be blocked except by more than 1 creature. So yeah, a 3-man champion that makes our commander unblockable, sign me up for that. And we even have an aura that can help us out as well, Alpha Authority. It says enchant creature has hexproof and can't be blocked by more than one creature. So again, unblockable essentially, and yeah, hexproof is definitely not a bad thing. Again, our commander kind of has hexproof. We know with that ward 9 life, that is a lot to pay, but there are going to be times where your opponents might be willing to pay that. So yeah, just straight up hexproof is going to be better. Regardless, you need to ensure that you can get your commander through so you can actually get that trigger. And of course, there are just other ways to essentially really make your commander unblockable. I mean, Whisper Silk Cloak. It says equipped creature is unblockable and equipped creature has Shroud, so it can't be targeted by spells or abilities. Now this does count your own as well, but there are going to be times where that is worth it, especially since you can get your commander through while protecting. Next up, Prowler's Helm says equipped creature can't be blocked except by walls, and here's a hint. No one runs walls in Commander. Except for, like, you know, that Arcades the Strategist player over there. But other than that, no one runs walls in Commander, so you're going to be able to get through. Or okay, at the very least, I should say, the vast majority of the time, you will be able to get through on at least one opponent. Regardless, you can also include a non-gate land in this deck with Rogue's Passage. It can tap for a colorless and has pay 4, tap target creature can't be blocked this turn. Since this really doesn't take up a slot in the deck, it is a fantastic addition. Moving on, I did mention that there are ways to take even more advantage of our commander's triggers, so yeah, let's include some equipment in this deck that give our commander double strike. First up, Fire Shrieker basically just does that. Equipped creature has double strike, and what's not to love about that? Not only is our commander going to hit twice as hard, essentially this turns our commander into what, a 3-shot KO on any opponent thanks to commander damage, but of course on top of that, and more importantly, we double up on that combat damage trigger. So again, if we've got enough gates in the deck to actually make it so that we can hit our gates pretty consistently, that's going to be what, ramp 2 essentially every single time we hit an opponent. And yeah, of course, that can really speed us up in getting more and more gates into play to get to that 9 gate level so that we can draw an absurd amount of cards. And you might actually need to be careful with something like this once you do get to that level though too. Because drawing 9 cards is already a ton, drawing 18 is an absurd amount, and yeah, if you do that too many times, you are going to deck yourself. Regardless, of course, we can also use equipment like Grappling Hook and Brass Knuckles for the same effect. Grappling Hook says equipped creature has double strike, and on top of that, whenever equipped creature attacks, you may have target creature block it this turn if able. So if we really want to do that, cool. More likely, no, let's just double strike an opponent. And then Brass Knuckles says when you cast a spell, copy it. Equipped creature has double strike as long as 2 or more equipment are attached to it. Regardless, just another great way to give our commander double strike, and potentially even another creature if we've got enough equipment in play. But of course, we can also double up on this trigger with something like Strionic Resonator, an artifact for 2 that has pay 2, tap, copy target triggered ability. You control, you may choose new targets for the copy. 2 mana is going to be well worth, or at least I should say, as long as, again, we get enough gates, 2 mana is going to be well worth doubling up that trigger. Because again, if we can pretty consistently hit gates off the top of our library, well, again, that's basically, hey, pay 2 mana and ramp by getting another gate into play, which also gets us to our end goal even quicker. And actually, when I say end goal, I mostly mean getting to those 9 gates so we can double up, and just draw an absurd amount of cards. Again, 18 essentially. But the main goal of this deck, again, if there are 10 gates that this deck has access to, yeah, again, probably Maze's End. Get to that end goal of Maze's End and, yeah, have fun winning with that. And of course, there are plenty of ways to speed up getting more and more gates into play. I mean, cards like Growth Spiral, Summer Bloom, and Sky Shroud Ranger are some fantastic ones, just to name a few. Growth Spiral says draw a card, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Summer Bloom says you may play 3 additional lands this turn, which, okay, that is incredibly impactful, especially, I mean, even not just even considering gates at that point. Once we get to our 9 gate level, if we draw 9 cards, chances are we've got a couple of lands in there, so yeah, maybe just pay 2 mana and put 3 of those lands into play. And then of course, Sky Shroud Ranger has a great repeatable ability. Tap and put a land card from your hand into play, place ability only time you can play a sorcery. So yeah, again, just if we are drawing into more and more lands, cool, we get to get more of them in play, and if we've got some gates in our hand, we can get them into play quicker. Now, really quick, one very expensive card, Scape Shift, and one decently expensive card, at least it's out of my budget, around $3 or $4 or so, Reshape the Earth, are 2 more cards that I do want to highlight. Scape Shift says, sacrifice any number of lands, search your library for up to that many land cards, put them on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. This essentially can just turn any of our, non-gate cards into gates. If we have 9 lands in play, we play this, hey, we made it to, our commander's trigger number. Or, if we've got 10 lanes in play, cool, we can get to our Maze's End victory pretty easily from there. Speaking of which, Reshape the Earth is a sorcery for 6 green, so 9 mana in total, which is quite a bit, but again, this commander has potential to ramp us quite quickly. Regardless, this says search your library for up to 10 land cards, put them on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. So yeah, quite easy to win with our Maze's End victory from there. Now, there aren't too many ways, but there are a few that you can actually make more out of your gates, like with cards like Replication Technique, Sakashima's Protege, and Morite of the Frost. Replication Technique has Demonstrate, so when you cast it, you can copy it and have another player also copy it, and it says create a token that's a copy of target permanent you control. So yeah, again, you can make the most out of your gates by actually making more of them with these. Now, unfortunately, Baldur's Gate is legendary, so don't do that with this, because obviously with the legend rule, you'd lose them. But yeah, with any of your other gates, essentially, just say, cool, I'll make more gates by copying them. And then Sakashima's Protege is a 3/1 flash and cascade, and you may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any permanent that enters the battlefield this turn. Obviously, you can't cascade into a land, so yeah, make sure you already have either played a gate this turn, or you attack with your commander, you get a gate off the top of your library and into play, then utilize this to make it become a gate. And speaking of clones that can become gates, well, there's Morite of the Frost, a 0/0 shapeshifter with Changeling that says you may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of a permanent you control, except it's legendary and snow edition with other types, and if it's a creature, it enters with 2 additional +1 counters on it and has Changeling. So yeah, copy a gate, and now it's a snow gate, because reasons. But now that we've talked about Nine Fingers Keene as a commander, let's talk about what kinds of decks might want in the 99 of their deck. And actually, the first one is probably a little debatable, because one of the first commanders that came to my mind is one of the most popular Gates commanders out there with Niv-Mizzet Reborn, and well, it just doesn't benefit from Niv-Mizzet. Niv-Mizzet is a 6/6 flying dragon avatar that has when it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each color pair, choose a card that's exactly those colors from among them, put the chosen cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Obviously, Nine Fingers Keene does not meet that requirement, so yeah, you can't get that additional value from Niv-Mizzet Reborn's ETB by getting it off the top of your library. That being said, although it doesn't benefit from that, obviously Nine Fingers Keene can really help you speed up your gate production. So for a deck that is looking to win with Maze's End, well, Nine Fingers Keene can definitely make a massive impact. But yeah, a Gates commander that can definitely utilize Nine Fingers Keene is Ramos Dragon Engine. It's a 4/4 that says whenever you cast a spell, put a +1 counter on Ramos Dragon Engine for each of that spell's colors, and by removing 5 counters from Ramos, you add double work to your mana pool, activate only once each turn. In this case, Nine Fingers Keene being more colors definitely helps. Again, that is 3 counters on Ramos for 1 spell, which is great. And again, of course, just Nine Fingers Keene gets you more gates out, which obviously is good for a Gates deck. So yeah, you can definitely benefit from adding that in to your Ramos Gates build. And finally, okay, well, not in the build that I highlighted on this channel, which was 99 lands. Child of Alara, though, if you have a Gates deck around Child of Alara that is not 99 lands, well, make sure you are considering this new card. Child of Alara is a 6/6 avatar trample, and when it's put into a graveyard from play, destroy all non-land permanents that can't be regenerated. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, make sure you check out that episode on my 99 lands. But yeah, if you're not building a 99 land version, Nine Fingers Keene can definitely help out Child of Alara, getting more and more Gates into play. Just know, obviously, that when Space Baby goes boom, so does Nine Fingers Keene, unless you somehow make it indestructible. So keep that in mind. But yeah, overall, I think a lot of players out there are going to be very excited about this new commander. Many players out there really like Gates and really like winning with Maze's End. That being said, obviously, we are not quite to the point where we can even do that with this commander. We need some more spoilers to come that are Gates. And again, I believe I heard, and again, I think it's just a rumor, that there are exactly going to be 9 Gates in this set. So if that's the case, then yes, obviously we can meet that requirement. But only time will tell, and of course, only time will tell with what other exciting spoilers we are going to be seeing. That being said, if you are looking to build around this commander, make sure you check out that link in the description below for the entire list of cards that I talked about in this episode. And of course, make sure you're staying tuned to this channel for even more exciting quick takes and spoilers coming up. And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So the comments below, let me know your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.